So we've gotten a lot of comments like this one up here that's talking about something that we mentioned in our last video. And that is how your body weight can affect your experience on the Curse of the Werewolf ride. So let's go ahead and dive into how your body weight can actually affect how much you're going to be able to spin on this coaster. So in short, yes, it is true. Your body weight can definitely give you a vastly different experience on this ride. So Curse of the Werewolf is actually manufactured by Mack Rides, and as I mentioned, it's a free spinning coaster. You may be familiar with some of the other spinning coasters out there, like Gringotts over at Universal Studios and Guardians over at Epcot, but this one is unique because both of those rides that I just mentioned have pre-programmed spins into them. So essentially every time you go on that ride, you're pretty much going to have the same experience. But with Curse of the Werewolf, there's a lot of room for variability and a lot of room to have a very different experience depending on where you're sitting. Now there's some other factors too that can affect how much you spin, and let's go ahead and dive into those right now. The first one being that if you're paired up with somebody that's a pretty similar weight and size to you, you're probably going to have a smoother ride. Now, if the car is uneven, if one person is a little bit heavier or larger, taller than the other person, that's when you could start to have a bit of a different experience. And if there's some empty seats around you, or if you're riding by yourself, then it becomes even more unpredictable. So Zach and I have been on Curse of the Werewolf many times, and we want to give you a little pro tip that the absolute best way to experience this ride is of course, doing it at night. Experiencing this at night is so much better than it is during the day. There's really just no words to explain how much this ride in particular is made for nighttime. The second tip that I want to give you is that sitting in the very back row of this ride, but also the front-facing seat, if that makes sense, is the absolute best way to experience it. The front seat is facing forward, obviously, and the back seat, you want to go for the back row and the front-facing seat. That is how you can have a 10 out of 10 experience on Curse of the Werewolf. My suggestion would be to try to ask for that seat if you can, but otherwise just know that you're basically entering the spin lottery when you come onto this ride. If you can embrace these variables and know that it's going to be very unpredictable, you're going to have a great time. Also, we'd love to hear from you, especially if you've been on this ride. What was your experience like? Because we've been on this several times, and I'm telling you that back row is just the best. But I've heard from a lot of people that they barely spun at all, or they spun the entire time and it was too much for them, so I'm really curious to hear what you think. So drop a comment down below, and remember, we are dropping Epic Universe secrets, tips, hacks, news, anything you can imagine every day over here on For Park's Sake. So go ahead and hit that follow button, and let's talk in the comments.